Hello and welcome to Spectrum News Recap. My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari mourns and prays for Lagos bus train crash victims. INEC shifts governorship assembly polls by 1 week. Plus, China's Xi Jinping handed historic third term as president. Details of these stories and more in a moment. First, to the news. President Muhammadu Buhari has commiserated with the families of victims of the tragedy resulting from a collision between a moving train and a transit bus conveying government workers in Lagos State. A total of 85 passengers were reportedly being conveyed on the bus, most of whom sustained injuries of varying degrees, while 6 were declared dead. The president, in a statement by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, expressed sympathy over the accident involving a train and Lagos State BRT staff bus Thursday in Shogunle area of Ikeja. In a related development, federal government has directed the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau to launch an immediate investigation into the root cause of the collision between a train and a staff bus of the Lagos State government that occurred in the Ikeja area of the state. The directive was revealed by the Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, in a tweet via his handle. The minister expressed his condolences to those affected by the tragedy and prayed for a quick recovery for those injured. Sirika also urged the public to cooperate with the investigation team. In a separate development now, President Muhammadu Buhari has said that Nigeria raised over 30 billion naira to finance its climate change adaptation efforts by issuing 2 sovereign green bonds, while urging the most vulnerable countries to emulate Nigeria's homegrown resource mobilization. Buhari said it is likely to break the yoke of difficulties in accessing funds from developed countries' financial institutions. According to a statement signed by the President's Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, the President assured that Nigeria would use its position as host of the headquarters of the Sahel Climate Fund to ensure that members assessed climate finance at fairer and reasonable conditions. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has pledged his government commitment to ensuring equal opportunity for women in Nigeria. Buhari acknowledged the invaluable role that women have played in advancing the progress of the country since independence, saying they have continued to deliver excellently despite all odds. In a statement signed by the President's spokesperson Femi Adesina to mark the 2023 International Women's Day, Buhari saluted women for their hard work and dedication to achieving results in different fields of their endeavor. On electoral matters now, the Independent National Electoral Commission has postponed governorship and state assembly elections earlier scheduled for Saturday to March 18. The Commission took the decision at its management meeting in Abuja after the Court of Appeal gave it the go-ahead to reconfigure bimodal voter accreditation machines (BVAS). In a statement by its National Commissioner and Chairman Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, INEC said it could not go ahead with the governorship poll as earlier scheduled because it needed time to reconfigure BVAS machines which were used for the presidential election on February 25. Meanwhile, the National Population Commission (NPC) has said that the commencement of the 2023 National Housing and Population Census, earlier slated for March 29, is likely to be affected by the postponement of the governorship and state assembly elections. The chairman, NPC Nasser Kwara, in a meeting with the resident representative of the United Nations Population Fund in Abuja, said that he will consult with President Buhari to fix a suitable date for the national census. On her part, the resident representative of the United Nations Population Fund, Ula Muela, pledged the support of UNFPA in ensuring the success of the exercise, while reiterating the significance of the exercise to the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goal. Muela explained that the conduct of a post-enumeration survey will also give credibility to the census. The Federal High Court in Lagos has ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to directly and electronically upload from the polling units to the IREV the results of the forthcoming governorship and state House of Assembly elections. Justice Peter Alifu made the order while delivering judgment on a suit filed by the Labour Party and 41 others, in which they sought an order of mandamus to compel INEC to obey the Electoral Act and its guidelines for the conduct of the elections. The judge held that the court had the jurisdiction to entertain the suit because it was commenced in accordance with the provisions of the law. In the meantime, for not complying with Section 160, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, and Section 60, subsection 5 and 148 of the Electoral Act 2022, a group of Nigerians led by Govindex's Leadership, Empowerment and Development Foundation have sued the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC). Govindex, in the suit filed before the Federal High Court Abuja by its solicitors Ifeanyi Nrialike on behalf of Ikechukwu Ezechukwu San, is demanding the criminal prosecution of INEC officials who compromised the integrity of the Saturday, February 25, 2023 presidential election. The relief being sought, according to documents made available to newsmen, is for the Independent National Electoral Commission to electronically transmit election results through its bimodal voter accreditation system (BVAS) or any other technology, especially the result viewing portal (IREV). So from the judiciary now, where the Federal High Court Abuja within the week ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to allow the use of temporary voter cards (TVCs) in the March 18 governorship and state houses of assembly elections. Justice Obiora Egwatu made the order while delivering judgment in a suit filed by two aggrieved Nigerians seeking the use of TVCs in the general elections in the absence of permanent voter cards (PVCs). Justice Egwatu said that the order was made on the grounds that the plaintiffs were duly registered and captured in INEC's database. Still on electoral matters now, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has said it will appeal the court judgment that asked the commission to accept the use of the temporary voter cards (TVCs) in the gubernatorial and House of Assembly election. In a tweet via its verified handle, the commission said INEC has been served a copy of the judgment delivered by the Federal High Court Abuja Division, which ordered it to allow two plaintiffs to vote with their temporary voter cards (TVC). Recall that the Federal High Court in Abuja had ordered the INEC to allow the plaintiff use of TVC in the March 18 governorship and House of Assembly election. In a separate development, the Director General of National Youth Service Corps (NYSC) Yushau Ahmed has inaugurated a 13-man think tank committee to drive the actualization of his 5-point policy for the scheme. While inaugurating the committee, the DG reiterated his promise and readiness to take the scheme to unbearable heights with innovations. Ahmed charged members of the committee to work with all departments at the National Directorate Headquarters Abuja. the NYC area offices and other structures of the scheme, as well as liaise with various NYC stakeholders towards the actualization of the policy thrust mandate. He encouraged them to be diligent in their new assignment, adding that they had been selected on merit. Away from that, now the Nigeria Navy and the National Agency for Science, Engineering, Infrastructure, NASENI, have signed a Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) to begin a sustained collaboration that would see the two organizations, among other projects, provide the capacity for the construction of oil tankers, fishing vessels for the development of the oil and gas industry. Now, speaking in Abuja, the Chief of the Naval Staff, Awal Gambo, applauded the efforts of NASENI in collaborating with the Nigerian Navy, especially in research and development. Gambo added that the agency's tremendous efforts, which is changing the dynamics of engineering as well as facilitating research and development initiatives at every sector of human endeavor in Nigeria and beyond, is outstanding and commendable. On electoral matters now, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has issued certificates of return to winners of the February 25, 2023 House of Representatives election in Nigeria. The INEC Chairman Mahmood Yakubu presented the certificates to the members-elect at the National Collation Center, Abuja. Yakubu had on Saturday said winners were declared for 423 legislative seats, indicating that supplementary elections would be conducted in 46 other constituencies. He said in the House of Representatives, 325 out of 360 seats have been won by 8 political parties. In terms of party representation, the INEC boss said African Democratic Party won 2, APC 162, ABGA 4, LP 34, NNPP 18, PDP 102, SDP 2, and YPP 1. In a related development, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) within the week issued certificates of return to winners of the February 25, 2023 senatorial election. The chairman of INEC, Mahmood Yakubu, presented the certificates to the senators-elect at the National Collation Center, Abuja. In the meantime, London-based Independent Policy Institute Chatham House has released its analysis of the presidential and National Assembly elections held in Nigeria on February 25. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) announced the presidential candidate of the ruling All Progressives Congress APC, Bola Tinubu, as the winner of the presidential election. According to INEC, Tinubu came victorious with 8.8 million votes. The presidential candidate of the main opposition People's Democratic Party (PDP), Atiku Abubakar, came second with 6.9 million votes. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Police Force (NPF) says it has deemed it necessary to educate and caution Nigerians on the use of pets, especially dogs, at the polling units on Election Day, noting that such act runs contrary to the provisions of the Electoral Act 2022 as amended. A spokesperson for the NPF, Olumuyiwa Dejobi, said dogs, according to the Electoral Act, could be classified as offensive weapons, as their owners and handlers can use them to intimidate, harass, and cause assault and bodily harm to others. Reacting, the chief spokesman for the Obidati Presidential Campaign Council, Yunusa Tanko, frowned on the police directive, saying that what is essential in the country's security apparatus was not taken into cognizance. Also, the chief spokesman for New Nigerian People's Party Presidential Campaign Council, Ladipo Johnson, advised the police to ensure elections are conducted free and fair and security-wise, rather than concentrating on pets. In another development, ahead of the governorship and states houses of assembly elections, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Usman Al-Khalibaba, had directed that all commissioners of police and strategic commanders posted for the gubernatorial and state houses of assembly election duties should mobilize all resources at their disposal to defend electorates Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) officials and sensitive materials. They were to also protect the electoral process during the conduct of the elections. A statement via the Force Public Relations Officer said the directive is in furtherance of the meeting held with strategic police managers to discuss and review topical issues and strategies for a more secure electoral process. Still in politics now, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, has inaugurated the legal team to challenge the controversial presidential election of February 25, 2023. The PDP presidential candidate, while inaugurating the legal team at his campaign headquarters in Abuja, charged it to establish the claim of illegality in the February 25 presidential election and reclaim the mandate of the Nigerian people. Atiku told the team that apart from reclaiming the mandate from those who allegedly undertook the electoral heist, that was not a reflection of the will of Nigerians, stressed that the legal team should also use the opportunity of the trial to strengthen constitutional democracy in the country. Addressing the team headed by Chief J.K. Gadzama San, Atiku said it was imperative that they work assiduously in reclaiming the mandate, not necessarily because of him and the PDP, but to strengthen democracy and the electoral process and for generations unborn. The members of the team include Chief Chris Uche, Paul Usara, Tayo Jagade, Ken Mozia, Chief Mike Ozekome, Mahmoud Magaji, Joe Abraham, Chukuma Ume, Dr. Garabat Tetenji, and Chief Emeka Etiaba, all SANS, amongst others. Still to come in the news. British economy expands 0.3% month over month in January. Do stay with us.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
Every day, we bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian. From issues on politics,
hello Nigeria, I remain committed.
Security, education, health, lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Kobum and Uyai Anyekan every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did?
He never did.
he linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My Lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my Lord.
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord. These cases are in court, my Lord. I'm just reminding your Lordship.
My Lord, sorry, my Lord, I think I will be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Many thanks for staying tuned. Move on now to Africa, where U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will travel to Ethiopia next week to push forward a fragile peace process. This according to the State Department. On the highest level, U.S. visit since the brutal civil war shook ties between the longtime allies. Blinken will also pay the first visit by a top U.S. diplomat to Niger to discuss security cooperation in the Sahel, where Russia has been making growing inroads through its Wagner mercenary force. Blinken will hold talks Wednesday and Thursday in Ethiopia's capital Addis Ababa with officials, civil society and humanitarian groups on the November 2 deal that halted the two-year war that has killed more people than Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Under the agreement brokered in the South African capital Pretoria by the African Union, with U.S. participation, the rebel Tigray People's Liberation Front (TPLF) said it would disarm in the face of an onslaught by the government, which agreed to restore basic services in a region that has suffered dire shortages. Still in Africa, fighting erupted yesterday between M23 militiamen and government troops near the eastern DR Congo city of Goma, where a European mercy flight arrived in the afternoon. The aid mission is the first in an airlift announced last Saturday by the European Union to help the beleaguered city. The plane landed carrying 35 metric tons of material, including tents, mattresses, and medical equipment. Standing on the tarmac of Goma Airport, EU Ambassador to the Democratic Republic of Congo, Jean-Marc Chatener, told reporters that another plane would land next week, with others to follow. Meanwhile, the city of over 1 million people is increasingly threatened by M23 rebels who have captured swathes of North Kivu province since re-emerging from dormancy in late 2021. In the meantime now, a group of African soldiers have been selected to participate in an annual U.S. military-led counter-terrorism exercise. The Flintlock 2023 drills, a 2-week training, are being staged in Ghana and Ivory Coast. The U.S. Major DeMarco explained that the benefits of the training to Ghana and its neighboring countries is not only for maritime security operations, but is also fosters the interoperability and collective security of African nations. Meanwhile, the training will run until March 15. 29 nations and over 1,000 personnel will participate in the Flintlock.
The benefit to Ghana and its neighboring countries from this specific training is it not only prepares our African partner nations for maritime security operations, but it also fosters the interoperability and collective security that we're trying to aim for with Exercise Flintlock.
I've been cooperating for many years with countries like Ghana. We are contributing to face common challenges like terrorism, piracy, and at the same time building local capacities. We believe that these are activities for mutual benefit of both parties.
Away from that, now South African President Cyril Ramaphosa says he is concerned about the ongoing wage strike by public workers that is affecting essential services in the country. Ramaphosa noted that while workers have a right to strike, acts of violence would not be tolerated. Meanwhile, the Health Minister, Joe Fowler, said at least 4 people have died as the workers reportedly prevented patients from entering numerous hospitals and clinics in the country. Recall that the strike by the National Education, Health and Allied Workers Union, NEHAWU, started on Monday as the workers demanded a 10% pay hike after rejecting the government's 3% increase. Out of foreign scene now, French President Emmanuel Macron held a new start in Franco-British ties at a bilateral summit in Paris with British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak aiming at restoring close ties after years of tensions between the two countries. Sunak and French President Emmanuel Macron are expected to adopt a new pact on cross-channel illegal migration as well as to vow more support for Ukraine and security in the Asia-Pacific region. According to reports, they will meet at the Elysee Presidential Palace for the first UK-French summit in 5 years after Sunak became Prime Minister in October following the eventful tenures of Liz Truss and Boris Johnson. Still in France now, where French utopian architect Roland Castro, a political activist who fought what he called urban apartheid and wanted to transform rundown housing estates into places people would actually like to live, has died at the age of 82. Famed for his short stature and sparkly green eyes, the idealist met Che Guevara in his youth, reimagined a drab Paris suburb with its own leafy Central Park and made an unsuccessful bid for president. He believed that buildings were only a success when they gave the person living in them a good impression of themselves. He advocated for ending what he called urban apartheid between Paris and what its poorer, high-immigrant suburbs. Iran and Saudi Arabia yesterday agreed to re-establish diplomatic relations and reopen embassies after years of tensions between the two countries, including a devastating attack on the heart of the kingdom's oil production attributed to Tehran. The deal struck in Beijing this week amid its ceremonial National People's Congress represents a major diplomatic victory for the Chinese as Gulf Arab states perceive the United States slowly withdrawing from the wider Middle East. It also comes as diplomats have been trying to end a years-long war in Yemen, a conflict in which both Iran and Saudi Arabia are deeply entrenched. The two countries released a joint communique on the deal with China, which apparently brokered the agreement. Meanwhile, Iranian state media posted images and video it described as being taken in China of the meeting. It showed Ali Shamkhani, the Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, with a Saudi official, and Wang Yi, China's most senior diplomat. Elsewhere now, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has banned music from his campaign stops and vowed to heal the earthquake-stricken nation's wounds as he formally set the next election for May 14. Erdogan signed a decree on national television that kicks off campaigning for what is widely seen as Turkey's most consequential vote of its post-Ottoman history. It is also shaping into the most difficult of the 69-year-old leader's two-decade rule. According to reports, voters will face a stark choice between keeping Erdogan's Islamic-rooted party in power until 2028 or handing the reins back to the main secular party of Turkey's founder Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. Meanwhile, Erdogan said he would run under the slogan, "Now for Turkey." Still on the foreign scene now, China's leader Xi Jinping has secured a historic third term as president from the country's alleged rubber stamp parliament. This follows a consolidation of power that has been made by 69-year-old Jinping, who is China's most dominant leader in generations. Reports say Xi's power comes from him being General Secretary of the Communist Party and Chairman of the Central Military Commission (CMC). He was handed both posts at a party congress last October. Xi has also gained another term as the chairman of the CMC of the People's Republic of China. Israeli police say 3 people were shot and wounded in Tel Aviv in an attack carried out by a member of the armed wing of the Palestinian group Hamas. The shooting took place at Dizengoff Avenue, a popular nightlife spot in the center of Tel Aviv, where a Palestinian attack killed 3 people in April 2022. According to the Israeli police spokesman Dean Elsdoun, the 3 victims of the attack are still alive and undergoing treatments. Meanwhile, German police were investigating yesterday after a shooting at the Jehovah's Witnesses Center in Hamburg that killed several people, with a gunman believed to be among the dead. Police have not given a death toll, but multiple local media outlets reported that the shooting had left 7 dead and 8 seriously injured. Meanwhile, Chancellor Olaf Scholz condemned the brutal act of violence and said his thoughts were with the victims and their loved ones. The Jehovah's Witnesses in Germany Association said it was deeply saddened by the horrific attack on its members after a religious service at the Kingdom Hall in Hamburg. To Ukraine now, where thousands of mourners, including Ukraine's armed forces chief, knelt on Kiev's main square yesterday at the funeral of a war hero nicknamed Da Vinci, who was killed by Russians in the battle for Bakhmut. President Volodymyr Zelensky and visiting Finnish Prime Minister Sanna Marin also made a surprise appearance at the ceremony, and thousands of mourners marched through central Kiev to pay final respects on Independence Square, known as the Maidan. While the funeral showed Ukraine's efforts to honor its war dead, it also underscored the heavy impact of the Russian invasion and the long-running battle for the eastern town of Bakhmut. Ukraine has not revealed the scale of its military losses during the war. Dmytro Kostyubailo was a 27-year-old volunteer fighter with a call sign Da Vinci, who led a battalion called the Da Vinci Wolves. In the meantime, Moscow has accused foreign countries of fomenting days of mass protests in Georgia, likening them to an attempted coup designed to sow tension on Russia's borders. Hundreds of Georgians rallied for a 4th day outside parliament as lawmakers dropped controversial foreign agent legislation that triggered violent clashes between police and protesters earlier this week. The days-long demonstrations point to turmoil over the future in Georgia, which aims to join the EU and NATO, much to the frustration of Moscow, which invaded in 2008 and recognized 2 separatist territories in the north of the country. Meanwhile, the Kremlin criticized remarks from Georgia's president delivered from the United States and accused a third party of stoking anti-Russian sentiment in the Black Sea state. Mariana has made the long journey from the rural mountains of southern Colombia to the United Nations in Geneva to denounce digital inequity and online dangers facing children like her. Addressing the UN Human Rights Council, she highlighted statistics showing fewer than a third of households in rural Colombia have internet access at home. Flanked by children from Ethiopia and Malaysia, as well as United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights Volker Turk, Mariana was taking part in a UN discussion on child rights in the digital environment. The child participants' full names were not given. Marking a first at the UN Rights Council, a majority of the panelists at yesterday's session were minors. Meanwhile, children also replaced some ambassadors to voice the stance of their countries from the floor, demanding universal internet access and protection for minors in digital environments. In business now, the British economy expanded 0.3% month-over-month in January, partially bouncing back from a 0.5% contraction in December, when strikes halted activity and beat forecasts of a 0.1% rise. The services sector was the main driver of growth, led by education, while production fell in industry and construction. Considering the 3 months to January, the GDP was flat. Away from that, jobs growth in the U.S. remained strong last month as the world's largest economy continued to defy expectations of a slowdown. Employers added 311,000 jobs in February, more than expected, with bars and restaurants driving the gains. The unemployment rate edged higher to 3.6% from 3.4% in January, which had been the lowest rate since 1969. The U.S. Central Bank is trying to cool the economy to ease the pressures pushing up prices, but the jobs market has been resilient even as the bank raises interest rates to the highest levels since 2007. In a separate report, Nigeria made 21 trillion naira from the sale of crude oil in 2022. According to the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) in its fourth quarter foreign trade report. The oil sales recorded was a 46.41% increase when compared to 14.41 trillion naira in 2021. The crude oil export accounted for 78.74% of Nigeria's 26.79 trillion naira total export in 2022. According to the report, Nigeria sold 5.6 trillion naira worth of crude oil in the first quarter and 5.9 trillion naira in the second quarter. Nigeria's crude oil exports suffered a steady decline due to the country's struggle with rising oil theft, resulting in sales of 4.6 trillion naira in the third quarter of 2022 and 4.91 trillion naira in the fourth quarter of the year. Still to come in the news. Shelton continues breakthrough season, sets Frid's meeting in Indian Wells. Do stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned. Now in health, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has approved a fast-acting nasal spray from Pfizer designed to treat migraines. Pfizer said it expected the drug marketed under the name Zavspret to be available in pharmacies in July 2023. According to the Chief Commercial Officer, Pfizer, Angela Wang, in a statement, the FDA approval of Zavspret marks a significant breakthrough for people with migraine who need freedom from pain and prefer alternative options to oral medications. According to reports, a phase 3 study of the drug found that it delivered pain relief to some migraine sufferers in as little as 15 minutes. Meanwhile, the treatment for a condition generally tackled with orally taken medicines was double-blind tested on a sample of 1,405 people, with half taking a single spray dose and the remainder receiving a placebo. Still in health, now Lagos State Commissioner for Health Professor Abayomi says 32 patients have been discharged following Thursday's collision of a train and a staff bus in the Ikeja area of the state. Abayomi, who addressed journalists at a press conference at the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital last within the week, said a total of 102 casualties were recorded. According to him, the number of fatalities still stand at 6, while 19 victims have been discharged from Lesotho 5 from the State Accident and Emergency Center at Old Toll Gate, and 8 from Orile Agege General Hospital. He added that 256 units of voluntary blood was received on Thursday from Lagos State residents, while 40 units of blood had been transferred for the victims. Away from that now, the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria (MDCN) has advised newly inducted foreign-trained doctors to consider practicing in the country instead of traveling abroad for greener pastures. The MDCN said many of the doctors who have migrated to other countries are currently regretting their actions as they face discrimination. The registrar of the council, Dr. Tajuddin Sanusi, said this on Thursday during the induction ceremony of 469 medicine graduates and 8 dentistry graduates. Sanusi also cautioned the newly inducted doctors against participating in medical association strikes. The Minister of Health, Dr. Sajay Hanire, who was represented by the Director of Planning, Research and Statistics of the Ministry, Dr. Ngozi Azodo, lamented the mass exodus of doctors and urged the inducted doctors to render selfless services to patients. In sports, Ben Shelton got his breakthrough season back on track on Thursday when he earned victory on his BNP Paribas Open debut. The #Next Generation ATP American enjoyed a dream run to the quarterfinals at the Australian Open in January, but suffered first-round defeats in Delray Beach and Acapulco last month. However, the 20-year-old ensured his dip in form would not turn into a slump, defeating Fabio Fognini 6-3, 6-1 to reach the second round in Indian Wells. In a ruthless display, the lefty showed home fans a glimpse of his potential, whipping an array of forehand winners past the Italian to earn victory in their first ATP head-to-head meeting after 1 hour and 11 minutes. The American will face 2022 champion Taylor Fritz in what is said to be a popcorn second-round clash in the Californian desert today. Still in sports, Fred Van Vliet has been fined $30,000 for his criticisms of a referee following the Toronto Raptors' loss to the Los Angeles Clippers. Toronto went down 108-100 to the Clippers in Los Angeles on Wednesday after the hosts had more than twice as many free throws awarded, 31-14, and Van Vliet, who was called for a technical foul in the third quarter, aimed strong criticism, in particular at referee Ben Taylor after the game. Although the Raptors' point guard admitted his comments had been unfortunate, he also claimed to have felt he had run out of other options. And finally, in sports now, Manchester United star forward Marcus Rashford has been named Premier League Player of the Month for February. Organizer of the English top-flight Premier League made the announcement on their Twitter handle yesterday. It is Rashford's third award this season after coming out tops in September and January. He was in red-hot form for United after bagging 7 goals in 7 games in all competitions in February. In the Premier League, he scored 5 goals, while in the Europa League, he found the back of the net twice. Meanwhile, it was double celebration for United as Erik ten Hag won the Manager of the Month award. The Dutch coach guided his side to 6 wins, 2 draws without defeat last month to pick up his second award this season. To entertainment now, where veteran actor and politician Desmond Elliott has tendered a public apology to all for his comments about the youths during the ANSARS protests in October 2020. He said he was not referring to everybody as children, but to those who were attacking the Speaker of Lagos State House of Assembly, Musashiru Obasa, on his Twitter handle. The lawmaker, who begged for forgiveness, said the hatred he has received on the heels of the comment was too much. Recall that the Lagos lawmaker was dragged on social media, particularly on Twitter, after being accused of referring to youths as children while pushing for the regulation of social media. Still on entertainment, Nigerian artist Peruzzi has released his first single of 2023 titled Pressure, on which he features superstar hitmaker Fireboy. Reports say Pressure is a blend of interesting melodies and rhythmic beats that showcase the exceptional vocal range of both artists. Produced by Three Heads, Pressure is a track of Peruzzi's upcoming project Sabali. And lastly, on entertainment, Afrobeats international superstar Joe Boy has released the video for his latest hit single, Body and Soul, which is one of the singles ahead of his highly anticipated sophomore album. Reports say the official music video, directed by Perlix, paints a picture that brings the soft yet reassuring lyrics of the song to life. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News Recap. My name is Xavier Robert. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.